everyone, I'm Joe. I'm going to show you a little bit about creating a sterile field so that you can put your sterile supplies on the field before you put your sterile gloves on. Okay, so inside your kit you have two 2x2s, two 4x4s, one combined ABD, one sterile Q-tip, and a sterile towel. It doesn't matter if your towel is blue or white. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put all our sterile dressings off to the side and focus on the towel. What you want to do is spin it so that you're going to open away from yourself. Take two fingers, put them underneath the cuff and pull away. Two fingers underneath the cuff and pull towards you. Two fingers underneath the cuff and fold it to the right. And another two fingers, pull towards you to the left, and crease it to keep the paper down so it doesn't fold back in on top of itself. So now we've opened the paper, we're going to open the towel. The most important thing right now is to open the towel away from yourself. In order to do that, look at this point. Right now it's pointing that way. It's going to open to the right. So I'm going to spin it. Now it's facing away from myself. I'm going to take my one hand, two fingers, and lift away. Two fingers underneath the cuff, to the left, to the right, and finally towards myself. So now that we have the towel in front of us, we want to make sure that we open away. This corner here is facing away, so it's going to open away from myself. If this corner was facing to the right, it would open to the right. So spin it so that the corner is facing away from yourself. Take your two fingers, put them under the crease. Two fingers under the crease. Two fingers under the crease. And finally, two fingers under the crease and pull towards yourself. And we've opened the towel. Okay, so now that we have our towel open, what we do is we assume that there's a 1-inch border that we consider contaminated, and anything that has fallen off the table is considered contaminated as well. Alright everyone, good job. Now you have your towel open. Now what we're going to do is open our sterile dressings and place them inside the sterile field before we put our sterile gloves on. Okay everyone, we're going to start with our 2x2. Opens from the top. Take one thumb, the other thumb, place it on the sides here. Pull down. Now you want to get it inside the 1-inch margin so it's inside the sterile field. Like so. Alright everyone, now what we're going to do is we're going to practice with our 4x4. Again, it opens from the top. Take your two thumbs along the crease, gently pull apart, like so, then pop it into the middle of the sterile field. Take one thumb, the other thumb, and gently pull apart, and if you break it, you have to start over. So you're going to get another 4x4 now. We're going to switch back to color real quick to demonstrate the concept of the sterile field and the contaminated area. Anything hanging off the table is considered contaminated, and there's also a 1-inch border demonstrated by the red that is considered contaminated. So in this case, your 4x4 is contaminated and you can't use it. Okay, now we're going to practice with our ABD. Opens from the top. Take your two thumbs, gently pull apart, and into the sterile field. By the way, ABD stands for Army Battle Dressing. Okay, the last thing we have to practice with is the Q-tip. Same thing from the top, gently pull apart, and onto the sterile field. We said that it doesn't matter if your sterile towel is blue or white, but in this case I'm using a white one to demonstrate why it's important that your table is dry. This towel is placed on a dry table and it looks like we've maintained sterility. Now I'm going to show you what happens when we place it on a damp table. So if we had placed this towel on a damp table, even though this is a bit of an extreme, you'll see what would have happened. Anything that was on the table is now on your towel and probably on the dressings that you are going to use on your patient. Now you don't always have to use a towel to create a sterile field. For example, when I open this suture removal tray, the tray itself will become my sterile field. Another example is when I open my 4x4s. If I open them properly, the package will become the sterile field. Like so. A few things to remember: never reach over a sterile field and don't turn your back on your sterile field. There's lots of different places that you're going to use sterile technique, from the operating room to the bedside.